Okay, everyone. So welcome along to today's webinar, which today we are focusing on our postgraduate programs in the subject group area of economics here at Newcastle University Business School. Thank you for attending today's session. We really appreciate it. If you have any questions throughout the session, you are more than welcome to ask as we go along. Please feel free to put some questions in our chat box, or if you're feeling particularly brave, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask us directly. My name is Jennifer Simpson, and I work as part of the careers and recruitment team here at Newcastle University Business School. And I'm joined today by one of our academics in the economics space, Bahadir, who's going to also talk in a little bit more detail about our programs and about the various high points of each program. So just for clarification, today we're going to be talking about behavioural and experimental economics, economics as a standalone subject, economics and data science, and economics and finance here at Newcastle University Business School. Just moving on. The agenda for today is really to talk a little bit about where the value in a postgraduate degree can come from and what it can mean for you both academically and in terms of your career and your future career development and aspirations. We'll also have more than enough opportunity for you to ask any questions that you might have to either one of us. And we'll also talk a little bit towards the end about the application process, scholarships available, student life more generally, and what to expect when you do join us here at Newcastle University Business School. But without further ado, we'll move on to the whole value proposition of a postgraduate degree, especially here at Newcastle University Business School. Now, we know that postgraduate degrees can attract students for lots of different reasons. The majority of our programs are kind of conversion-led, so you don't necessarily have to have had a background in your chosen area. However, some of our programs do, and Bahadir will be able to explain the sort of student that these programs will attract. But there's a few different reasons that you might consider doing a postgraduate degree. One of which is to become much more of a specialist and to really hone down and focus on a particular area or subject group area. Alternatively, it might be that you're coming from a slightly different background. You could be coming from a mathematics background, for example, and are interested in maybe specialising a little bit further, maybe focusing in on an area of interest, or just purely wanting to learn a little bit more. Here at our business school, we also take student experience very seriously. So if you join us in September for a postgraduate degree, you will expect to be able to build yourself a global network with not just the people that are in the classroom alongside you. So we have a student body from, tens and tens of different nationalities from around the world, but also a really diverse teaching faculty who come from a huge range of expert areas of research and business as well. We work very closely with our careers offering here in the business school. So we're very passionate about making sure that whatever you learn in the classroom is applicable to your career aspirations. So we work with you from day one to look at how that can work for you. And that's through a range of different activities. So one-to-one guidance, industry events, guest speakers, career treks, internships, and also support with identifying part-time and full-time longer-term career opportunities as well. And finally, Newcastle upon Tyne, as I'm sure you're probably aware, is based within the northeast of England. So we're around an hour and a half south of Edinburgh and about 3 hours north on the train of London. So we're really well positioned. We have fantastic links to Europe, and we also have a very strong cultural identity as well. So hopefully if you do join us here in September, you will have a fantastic time and will really hopefully fall in love with the place and become a part of our very strong alumni community as well. So I'm going to pass over to Bahadir, who's going to talk a little bit about the programs that we have. Bahadir, please feel free just to tell me to move on when you're ready in terms of the slide. But we'll kick off with behavioural and experimental economics.
Thank you, Jennifer. So let me introduce myself again. My name is Bahadir Dursun. I'm the DPDO MSc in economics. So we have under the roof of economics, we have 3 master programs, and we have the economics and finance program. So these, like in total, I'm going to talk about 4 programs together with you. So the idea in these, especially in the first 3 of these programs, are they are sharing the same compulsory modules in the first 3 first semesters. But then in the second semester, the optional modules are different for each degree program, basically. So MSc in Behavioral and Experimental Economics program is based on behavioral and experimental economics. But again, as I mentioned a second ago, the first semesters of all these three programs, MSc in Behavioral and Experimental Economics, Data Science, and Economics, share the same modules in the first semester. And the idea, the focus areas in the behavioral and experimental economics is learning how psychological foundations of behavior are integrated in recent economic theory. And learning quantitative methods in econometrics and mathematical econometrics, and learning the theory and analytical tools and the data analysis methods to solve some variety of real-world economic problems. You can see potential career prospects in this slide as well. We can, but the idea is, again, concentrating on behavioral and experimental methods mostly. Jennifer, can you move to the second one, please? In the next one, please. In the economics degree program, again, the only difference is the compulsory modules in the second semester, but then the idea is focusing on macro and microeconomics and econometrics, finding solutions to deal with the real world problems and how economists are approaching to these real world problems. We have multiple modules focusing on, in the experimental and behavioral MSc degree as well, we have multiple modules focusing on different software languages, including R and Python, and also Stata. And we are trying to provide a variety of modules for the student selection based on their interest, based on their academic skills as well. And again, this is, you can also switch. Once you come here, you can also, let's assume that you come for the MSc in economics, and after the first semester you want to switch to data science, you can also make those kind of switches as well. Lastly, we have the MSc in data science program. The idea is in this stream, the idea is mostly focusing on the data science. Again, after getting the foundations in the first semester, then the compulsory modules for the data science program is a little bit more data-driven, concentrating on the methods, on the decision-making process, concentrating a little bit more on the programming languages, R, Python, and Stata a little bit more compared to the other streams. But then they delve into advanced concepts and they try to maximize your expertise in data science and econometrics a little bit more than the other programs. It's kind of focused more on the data science aspect a little bit more. So these are the MSc in MSc programs in economics. We have, as I said, we have three programs. All these three programs are under the roof of economics department. We, like if you look at the requirements for getting into these programs, we are particularly interested in students with economics, mathematics backgrounds, basically. But then if you don't have one, then we have a fourth program, which is called the MSc in Economics and Finance. So in this program, this is kind of we call it conversion master's program. Even if you are not coming from economics background, then the idea is you can apply to MSc in Economics and Finance. Actually, I'm one of the module leaders, lecturers of the main compulsory modules in this program, which is econometrics. And we have students from pretty much every background you can imagine. We have English majors, we had engineering majors. So this program, MSc in Economics and Finance, is designed for students who are not coming from economics background. The focus areas are applying economic knowledge, tools, and techniques to analyze economic and financial issues, analyzing and understanding the interaction between economics and finance, development in the global context, and the role played by national institutions like the IMF and the WTO. So these are 3+1 programs that we have here in Newcastle University Business School. And this is, I believe, pretty much a summary of these programs in a very short period of time. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I will try to answer them as much as I can.
Thank you for that. I can kick off if that's all right with an open-ended question.
Sure.
One of the things that we get asked a lot when we're talking to potential students who are going to join us here is what kind of exposure to the world of business do students typically get? And I often talk about guest lecturers, competitions, all that kind of thing. Can you elaborate a little bit on what it looks like within economics in terms of that connection to the world of work?
Sure. So we have, again, since we have these two streams, one of them is this MSc Economics and Finance, and the other one is the other economics programs. So these economics and finance programs, oops, sorry, my cat is, yes, sorry about Zoe. As you mentioned, in the business school, there are a variety of activities that we are having. We are bringing alumni, professionals working in big companies to increase the exposure of the students, basically. And we have career fairs. We have sessions where the students are meeting with the professionals, but these are a little bit exposure to the industry type of jobs. But on the other hand, I want to mention, especially in the like the module leaders, the professors that students are going to interact in the MSc programs are the world leaders in their research areas, basically. So if the students are not interested or with the industry, or they would like to pursue academic degrees, then we have excellent researchers, excellent professors who are the leaders in their subfields. So having those around, exposure to their knowledge, exposure to their network would play a huge role about their academic career choices as well.
That leads us on to my next question, actually. In terms of people who pursue postgraduate degrees in the economics field, how many would typically move on to academic-led careers, would you say?
So it depends. In some, especially those 3 MSc programs are basically focusing on a little bit heavier academic content. And every year we have at least 2-3 students who would like to pursue their academic career as a PhD student. They are making PhD applications. They would like to further delve deep into the academic fields. But then every year, of course, it depends. And for the MSc Economics and Finance program, the conversion masters, students are mostly interested in industry jobs and they would like to find industry positions. But then for the others, for example, we have more than 10 students this year, and since I'm the DPD of the MSc in economics, I know at least 3 students are interested in pursuing their academic journey, and they would like to get a PhD degree in behavioral economics or economics, or one student is kind of thinking about doing statistics as well. So, but then the number changes every year depending on the student profiles, of course.
Thank you. That's great. So we've had a question in the chat box
Sure.
with regards to do we have a specialization in development and international economics within the economics program?
Excellent question, Sam. We have great development economists in the department, and last year, for example, we had the topics in microeconomics module, which is kind of an umbrella module in the second semester. I'm the module leader of that module, by the way. So last year, for example, we had development economics as part of that module, and I was teaching the health economics, and we had the economics of crime. We had the industrial organization. But then, depending on the availability of the professors, we are kind of renewing the content of that module specifically. And if you would like to if you are asking, if your question is, do you have a development economics MSc program? No, we don't. But then we have excellent development economists, or we have excellent economists working in development economics, and therefore, and they are offering multiple modules on these, and therefore, if you prefer to come to Newcastle University, if you are interested in development economics, then I would say that you would be in good hands, basically.
Fantastic. Thank you for your question, Sam. Please feel free to add any other questions that you might have into the chat box. I have a question for those who might be interested in the economics and finance program in particular. If you're coming from, as you say, this program is designed to appeal to a wide range of students, what would you say to somebody who's maybe coming from, as you say, like an English background, who might be feeling like this is a leap, this is a whole new area for me? Is there any kind of prep that you can do, or anything that they should consider before joining the program to help them make that move over?
Yeah. As the model leader of the econometrics, so I'm the kind of the right guy to ask the question. The answer is yes and no, a little bit. So yes, in the sense that if you get in touch with your potential professors next year, module leaders next year, then you might get some suggestions from them. But no, in the sense that, if you try to do it by yourself, potentially you would spend too much time on the stuff or the material that's not very useful. So it might be waste of time. But then if you get in touch with the module leaders or DPDs, then probably they're gonna redirect you more appropriately and tell you what to focus, basically, right? Calculated preparation would be very beneficial, very, very helpful. And no, I said yes and no. The no part is we already know that we have students from different backgrounds. So there are 2 things that we do. First, for example, before the semester starts, we have this math camp, basically. So in that math camp, for example, since I'm teaching econometrics, in that math camp, students are having 1 week of compact math and statistics and probability discussions, and which prepares students to the to the semester, basically. And since the module leaders, since the professors are informed, since the professors are aware of the situation, that they have different students from very different backgrounds, they are designing the modules accordingly, and they are very open during the semesters. They are very open to leading the students coming from, for example, as you described, a non-math background, and they are trying to guide them on how to study, what to study, how to approach the modules, basically. I hope it was helpful, useful.
Thank you. That's really helpful. We don't seem to have any further questions coming through, so I just wanted to round up maybe with a final question about assessment.
Sure.
And what that looks like on just in general across these programs.
Sure. So like assessments are, of course, module based and different for each module. They have different structures and everything, but then I can divide them into roughly 2-3 parts. The first one is a standard unseen exam. So at the end of the semesters, usually we have semester long modules. The students are getting 3 hours to answer up to 3 to 5 questions. Those are kind of standard exams. We have those. In some modules, we have projects. I know in some modules, for example, students are asked to come up with a research question, maybe, and or a replication or a paper or analyzing some sort of data and answering some research questions in particular time frame. So these are kind of this could be considered as a project, as a take-home exam, and the students are given some time frame to work on these in groups or individual, and then they are graded based on the output that they are basically producing. So those are the kind of the 2 types of exams and assessments that we are having in our modules.
Thank you. That's really helpful. We've had another question. So what areas of microeconomics or applied economics can an MSc student specialize in at Newcastle, where we have sufficient professors?
You have sufficient and competent, Sam. Yes, we do. We have pretty much the best people you can find. I would so we have Diego Zambiasi. You can just Google his name and see how good he is. We have Lina Janis and Chris Walsh. These are doing econometrics. These are very competent people, very smart people. They are doing amazing job in terms of their research. We have Niels Brackmann, myself, Harry Pickard. So all these guys are very good at econometrics, and they're using applied econometrics methods in their research, basically. I would suggest you to go to the faculty list of the Newcastle University Business School Economics and Google these names, or kind of take a look at the profiles. You're going to see a very research active group. Plus, additional to first semester compulsory compulsory econometrics module, in the second semester, we have the causal inference module. Causal inference module is basically covering all these applied micro methods that we are actually using in our research, basically. Yeah, so that's one thing. And we also have topics in microeconomics. As I said, this year I'm the module leader. We have under the umbrella of topics in microeconomics, we have the health economics, economics of crime, economics of history, and sports economics. And these are all microeconomic concepts, and we are again, we are like the module leaders, sub-module leaders are very productive, research active scholars, and they're very good at what they are doing. So if you would like to get some more information on their profiles or their names, probably you couldn't get the names where I was mentioning, just send me an email. Let me write my email address to the chat, and if you would like to get in touch, send me an email. I can provide you more detailed information.
Fantastic, thank you very much. I will say that Newcastle does seem to attract incredibly high caliber economics faculty members. It's a really thriving subject group. We should also say as
Yes,
well that
exactly.
the business school has as a whole has performed really well in its last research excellence framework. So every few years the school is audited basically for the quality of its research and its output and how that's shared, you know, more globally. And so the research that's coming out of not just the economics subject group but across the board is incredibly strong and something that's looked at, you know, regularly and is prioritized within the school as well. Development economics. So another question.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Shall I pass that one over? I'll pass that one over to you.
Yes, please.
So
My interest is in development of economics as it affects developing and underdeveloped economies, issues that have to do with poverty, alleviation, and economic growth. How will this aspiration fit into your MSc program? Well, it would fit perfectly to our program because of the reasons that I was trying to mention previously. So we have people sharing the same aspirations in the department, right? So hopefully then having those professionals, having those academics around you would make perfect sense. You're going to be equipped with the tools that you would be using in your research after graduation. You would be learning, for example, causal inference methods. You would be learning experimental methods based on the, you know, based on your program selection. Then, as I mentioned, we have very prominent, very research active development economists in the department as well. So getting in touch with them, doing research with them would be taking their modules would be super beneficial for your aspirations, I believe. I hope, yeah. Again, I shared my email address in the chat box. If you have further questions, don't hesitate to get in touch. I can try to delve deep into your questions.
on the various program pages, you can also find information regarding
Sure.
our global rankings, our accreditation, further details about modules, and assessment as well, if that's something that you want to pick up on.
Yeah.
Okay. If there's no further questions, I'll let our esteemed academic go. For those of you who want to remain on the call, we'll wrap up by having a quick talk through the application process, scholarships available, and more generally about the student experience and life here in Newcastle. And at that point, I'll stop the recording. And if you have any questions that you would prefer to ask offline, then you're more than welcome to do so. But unless there's any further questions for Bahadir, we'll say goodbye and thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate. I look forward to hearing your other questions as well if you guys are interested. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good day. I'll share again the slides that we were working on from before, but hopefully you found that useful. There we go. please feel free to ask any questions. It's really important to us that you feel as though you're getting all the information that you might need to make an informed decision about whether to join us in September or not. I'm not sure of those of you who are on the call, if you have already received an offer, or perhaps you're still thinking about applying to Newcastle and considering, you know, which program, which university might be the best fit for you. But just to say that we are fully in the process at the moment of accepting applications to all of our programs. We aim on the admission side to respond to you within a couple of days maximum. We're really keen to make sure that you get the decision that you want to make as quickly as you can. So you should receive that quite quickly. But the first thing you need to do is double check your entry requirements, as we talked about a little bit earlier on, where economics is concerned. Certainly with our more specialised degrees, there would be that mathematical element that you might want to consider. That the selectors will be looking for. But if it's the economics and finance program, again, it's slightly more open and it is a conversion program. So it is designed to attract people from a range of different backgrounds. Once you've got a good idea of the program that you're interested in, it's a case of putting together your application documents. Now, if you're considering joining us from an international country, and that'll be things linked to your level of language proficiency, so IELTS, TOEFL, Pearson's, etc., etc. And it's worth double checking what our entry requirements are on that. The majority of them are 6.5, but double check the individual subject page or program page. And also a personal statement as well. Now, personal statements, people do tend to get can get a little bit nervous about what that should look like, but it's really about outlining, you know, why this program, why Newcastle is of interest to you, what you hope in the program will deliver to you, and any kind of long-term career aspirations or goals that you think that this program will help feed into. If you ever want any support with that, we're more than happy to kind of to help you with that, and you can always get in touch with the recruitment team here within the business school, and we'll be prepared to give you some guidance on that as well to make sure you've got it right. Then it's a case of uploading your application. As I said, we will aim to come back to you, you know, as quickly as possible, turn around applications pretty quickly, so you won't be left in limbo. You will get to know a decision quite quickly. And at that point, you can accept your offer and hopefully apply for your CAS. So just to give you a little bit of extra information there, these are the sorts of details that you might want to consider before you put your application in. So things like getting your passport ready, up-to-date CV, references is often something that people don't consider. So considering maybe somebody from your first degree who might be willing to be a referee, or perhaps somebody who's in your personal life who's able to speak to your experience to date. We've also included a QR code on this slide as well that takes you directly through to our application portal, where all of this is managed. You can access the portal through the program page when you are ready to apply, but otherwise there's a QR code available with you there. If you don't feel like you might meet the initial entry requirements, please don't despair. We have lots of routes for you to be able to progress onto the degree proper. We work with an international partner called Into, and you can see on the bottom left-hand corner of this particular slide that we offer pre-masters programs and also pre-sessional English. So it's worth double checking to see if you might be eligible to join those and how that would impact your applications onto one of our economics programs. As I say, if you've got any questions about this, please feel free to put them in the chat box. We appreciate it. It's a long process and there can be a lot of detail in it. So anything we can do to help clarify the details of that for you, please just ask. Just a quick word on scholarships. We have institutional scholarships and also business school scholarships available at the moment. Many of these are targeted at specific areas of the world, so geographic locations. So it's worth double checking on our website. Again, we've got a QR code on the bottom right-hand corner here. If you scan that QR code, that should take you directly through to our scholarships pages. And what I would recommend you do is search by your level of study and also your nationality as well, because that'll give you a good overview of the types of scholarship offer that will be open to you. Just very quickly on what we've got available here in the business school for this year. We've got 5 business excellence scholarships and 5 Dean's International Excellence scholarships. So I'm going to assume the majority of people are joining us from abroad. So I'm going to focus on the Dean's International Excellence Scholarships first of all, and they are targeting applicants and students from Taiwan, Hong Kong, Cyprus, Greece, Italy, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, the USA, India, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Japan. If you are from the home, from the UK, and you're considering pursuing PGT, we also have opportunities available for you as well, and that's under our Business Excellence Scholarships. And as you can see, it's £10,000 that's available to support your study, so it's well worth looking into. As part of that eligibility criteria in both cases, we are looking for an IELTS of 7 if your first language isn't English. And for the International Excellence, it'd be a first class honours degree, and for the Home Business Excellence Scholarship, it would be a 2-1. Again, any questions on that, please feel free to ask. Oh, we've got one coming in there. So the question is, I have applied and had an offer to study economics. I applied for Vice Chancellor's Excellence Scholarship, which should cover 100% tuition. When will I get a response? You're from Nigeria. That should be coming through soon, Sam. If it usually takes a little while, don't despair. You will be in the process. I think that you should hear in the coming weeks. What it's worth you doing is following up in our inbox. And if you want to drop us a line, let me put it in. Let me put our email address back in on screen for you. Actually, I'll put it in the chat box for you. If you want to follow up with our team in-house, oh, sorry, there it is, nubs.recruitment@newcastle.ac.uk. If you want to drop us a line with your full name and your application number, we can follow up on that for you. But we should be able to update you on what that looks like. And then finally, just to give you a little bit of an update, we have some upcoming events which might be of interest to you. So on the 12th of March, we're going to do a focus and a deep dive on our careers and employability support here in the business school. And for that, we're going to be led by one of our careers consultants. So it's a really good opportunity for you to flesh out what study at Newcastle is what kind of value that's going to bring to you slightly longer term. Then on the 13th of March, we are going to meet the Dean. So Professor Stuart Robinson is going to join us for an insight into Newcastle University Business School. Professor Robinson is our Dean of the Business School, and he has a really illustrious background in research and in business and in higher education. So he's going to talk about what he considers to be the high points of this particular school, things for you to consider, and basically giving you as many insights as he can. Then on the 19th of March, we're going to look at industry engagement. So how the school links teaching, learning, research to the outside world, to the business community, and how that shows up for you as a student. And then finally, on the 26th of March, we're going to spend some time looking at our alumni community. You'll hear from some of our alumni from around the world who are going to share a little bit of insight about their time at Newcastle University Business School and how it's shaped their career and their lives and their aspirations going forwards. So hopefully that'll be of interest. You'll receive an email with all of these details on, and opportunity to sign up as well. If you are interested in anything else with regards to Newcastle University Business School, I would encourage you to visit our YouTube channel, where you can find lots more information on a whole range of topics, not just teaching and learning and programs, but also our research as well. There are videos on there that do deep dives. We've got a campus tour on there. We've got lots of information about student life, what to expect, high points of being at Newcastle. So yeah, do take the opportunity to have a look about on there. I'm going to stop recording now. So thank you for joining us if you want to end at this point, but I will remain on the call if you have any further questions. Thanks very much for joining us.